still remember, I'm the one who's not sure that classrooms are the best place to learn. We take a few dozen kids, put them in a gray, white box, tell them some things, then say, go out into the real world and be productive. Okay, is learning inside the classroom really that bad? Well, there are some major drawbacks. Mainly, it takes learning out of context. I'll give you 2 examples. 1, math word problems. Janie has 5 bananas and Johnny takes 3 away. How many does Janie have left? Really? How many times are we actually worried about that in a real-world context? So kids can get really good at answering these silly questions, but they don't necessarily understand how to apply math to real-world contexts. Second example, and this one's funny. I know I did this in school. When kids learn vocabulary in the classroom, they look up the words in the dictionary, then write out their sentences, but they don't always understand the context of the words. So they'll come up with sentences like, and these are real, Mrs. Morrow stimulated the soup, or I was very meticulous about falling off the cliff. Kids would learn their vocabulary better if they were just in conversation on a day-to-day basis with someone who knew more words than they do. We learn by being in the context of the material we're trying to grasp. Think about little kids before they go to a classroom. They live in the world, they want to know everything. They want to know the answers to everything they see. But give them a few years in the classroom, and for a lot of them, engagement drops right off. So what do? Well, there's this method called situated learning, and that simply means putting learning into a meaningful context. It can be as simple as taking kids to a grocery store in order to teach them about sales tax and estimation. It can mean just having them look at dirt when we're talking about processes in the soil. And when kids participate in these situated learning experiences, their engagement increases. Teachers see it and students feel it. They feel more connected to the material and to the community in which they live. Now, I do want to bring up a debate very briefly. There are 2 schools of thought within the situated learning. Now, one school of thought says, yes, we're all for situated learning, but some cognitive processes are so complex that at least at first we need to step back from the context, and we need to teach sub-skills in a more formal setting. Now, the other school says, no, you need to keep the kids in the authentic environment so that they're constantly connected to the applications. Good point. Good point. Why don't we take these 2 ideas and stick them together? So keep the context, by all means. But also, teach the complicated sub-skills. Have a complex lecture. But if it's on mycorrhizae, have it near tree roots. If it's on interest rates, have it in a bank. If it's on writing, put it in a publishing company. I don't know. But keep the kids in the context so that they can see the applicable connections and they can feel that their schoolwork goes beyond the box of the classroom. But also allow for the formal teaching of these complicated sub-skills. Just teach. But teach in a context where the material can be applied. Now maybe this seems a little bit impractical, but if we can at least consider this as an idea that will allow students to engage both as learners and as members of the community, then maybe bit by bit we can break out and allow our students to engage in the world in which they live. Thank you.
Thank you. That was right on the mark.